Welcome to another edition of the BIPAC Monday Brew, this time on location. And we first turn to the U.S. House of Representatives. And as you probably saw last week, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the new Texas map, the one created in 2025, that ostensibly is supposed to create 5 new Republican seats in that state, will be the map used for at least the 2026 election. And that actually has a secondary effect on the California map, the new map that the voters approved, which ostensibly will give the Democrats 5 new seats. And because there was a racial gerrymandering case filed in California, like there was in Texas, the chances are extremely strong that this new California map will stand as well. As a result, Congressman Darrell Issa from San Diego, who had been in the news quite a bit lately because there was talk that he actually may move to Texas to run in an open seat under that new Texas map. Mr. Issa said that was the idea of one of the Republican congressmen from the state. He is not going to do that. In fact, he has announced that he will seek re-election in his 48th district that is no longer a safe Republican seat as it was for him. It now tilts to the Democrats, but it's still highly, highly competitive. And he certainly has a fighting chance to survive and to win another term. So Congressman Darrell Issa staying put in California and will seek re-election in the new 48th district. So we see some movement also in the Texas delegation. We have candidate filing on Monday of this week, meaning that we will know next week on a full report of exactly who is running where. And the big question concerns Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who is saying that she will decide at filing if she's going to run for the Senate or re-election for the House. And the dominoes will fall once she makes that decision. And we'll have a report on that next week. Let's turn to the state of Maine. There was another interesting poll that came out of there in the Senate race. Actually, this one in the Democratic primary, where you see Oysterman Graham Plattner, who several polls had found him actually leading Governor Janet Mills for the Democratic Senate nomination. And then there was controversy surrounding him. He, first of all, is supported by Bernie Sanders and the far left faction of the Democratic Party. And then it comes out that he actually has a Nazi-related tattoo on his upper chest. And some very damaging tweets had come out that he said disparaging things about women. So he's apologized for all that. And apparently he's survived the storm because this new poll from a group called Z2A Research comes out and has Plattner 20 points ahead of Governor Mills in the Democratic primary, 58 to 38. And so we've got a real race, it looks like, unfolding in the state of Maine in that Democratic primary. The winner, of course, going up against Senator Susan Collins. And Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had gotten Governor Mills, who's 78 years old, to run in this race, thinking that she would have a clear shot in the Democratic primary and could be the top challenger to Senator Collins. Not working out that way. And in fact, the Democrats will face a major primary here, it appears, in this state of Maine. Let's switch to Michigan. We also saw another poll that came out that has Republican former Congressman Mike Rogers leading all 3 Democratic challengers who are vying for the Democratic nomination. This is setting up pretty well for the Republicans because the 3 Democrats there, Congresswoman Haley Stevens, State Senator Mallory McMorrow, and the former health director of Wayne County, Abdul El Sayed, they are all fighting for that Democratic nomination. They've all raised 7 figures, and they're all pretty close in the polling. So it's a real dogfight to get the Democratic nomination. What will help Rogers is that race won't be decided until a late August 4th primary. And Rogers already running ahead a couple of points here in 2 out of the last 3 polls against all 3 of those Democrats. So that could be good news for the Republicans and certainly for Congressman or former Congressman Mike Rogers. So let's now move to the state of Virginia, where we saw Senator Mark Warner officially announce last week that he will run for re-election for a fourth term. That wasn't a surprise, but the surprising part of his announcement was him saying that this will be his last term. So he will run for re-election in 2026 and is already saying he will retire in the 2032 term when this next term, assuming he wins, and he'll be a prohibitive favorite, when he serves that final term. So a bit of a surprise that Senator Warner would, certainly not a surprise he's running for re-election. It is a surprise that he would say this is his last term this far out and that he wants to prepare someone else for the responsibility of the transition 8 years from now. So that is an interesting situation here in Virginia, a bit unexpected, and we will see just how things begin to unfold over the long term in that state. So with that, we will see you next week on another edition of the BIPAC Monday Brew.